Hello. Today I'm going to guide you through the changes Alcatel-Lucent has made to the OmniPCX Office platform with Release 8, which was made commercially available at the end of 2010. First of all, I'm going to provide you with an introduction as to what Alcatel was trying to achieve by introducing the changes late last year. Next, I'm going to explain to you some of the things that they changed last year, as well as what will be changing early 2011 and moving forward. After that, we'll go through in a little bit more depth the changes that have been made in 2010 and the features that have been introduced. And finally, we'll have a look at the migration process for Release 8. So let's get started. First of all, the introduction. Alcatel-Lucent had some clearly defined goals when developing Release 8. They mostly revolve around their main goal to adapt the OmniPCX Office platform to be more competitive in the SMB market that it competes in. First of all, Alcatel-Lucent wants to continue to address the CPE market at a competitive price point. Next, they wanted to simplify the selling processes and tools for the platform to make life a little bit easier for the dealer channel. Next, they wanted to satisfy the growing customer demands for system enhancements, considering the platform has been fairly stagnant for quite a while now. They wanted to provide value-added services to the customers. They wanted to lower the IP price on the platform by providing an IP at the core solution. They also wanted to keep up with SIP enhancements that the carriers are implementing. And finally, they wanted to send a strong future-proof message to the end users. Now we're going to gain an overview of some of the changes that have taken place last year and what's planned for the year ahead in 2011. As you can see, in Q4 of 2010, Alcatel-Lucent provided us with a new software release of the OmniPCX Office, being Release 8, as well as a new release of the ECS, or Extended Communication Server, being Release 4.2.1. These updates consisted of a fairly significant technology refresh, redesigned call center office applications, new wireless LAN handsets, the new multi-company welcome feature, as well as quite a few SIP trunking enhancements. In 2011, the plans are to bring along OXO Release 8.1 and ECS Release 4.3. These updates will bring primarily SIP extensions, which in turn will allow us to utilize the new MyIC phone from Alcatel-Lucent, as well as the 4135 SIP conference phone currently available only on the Enterprise product. Before we move on and take a more in-depth look on what was made available through Release 8, I thought it might be good to have a brief look at some of the things that are coming in 2011. First of all, and probably most exciting, is the new MyIC phone from Alcatel-Lucent. It has a touchscreen LCD and provides various multi-modes of communication, such as your traditional voice, instant messaging, presence, and video. You're going to hear a lot more about this handset over the next few months, so keep your ears open. We're also going to be getting the 4135 conferencing phone, which has been available on the OXE for a while now, but is our first SIP-based conference unit for the OXO. In addition to this, we're also going to get access to providing standard SIP extensions on the OXO, allowing you to connect handsets from other vendors such as Polycom, Snom, and Astra. Okay, so now let's go take a more in-depth look on what was just released at the end of 2010. Some of the highlights of the new offering are a better IP pricing position, a simplified pricing model for the offering, which includes more features in the basic software suites, a simplified commercial catalog, as well as a refresh of Actus. So what exactly is new for the OXO for Release 8? Well, first of all, there's 4 new hardware platforms, called the OXO Rich Communications Edition. This includes a more powerful CPU with IP at the core and a simplified hardware offering. There's new, more effectively priced wireless LAN handsets. The call center has been redesigned to provide a few more features as well as a completely new user experience and a new commercial offer. We have a new multi-company welcome feature, which is effectively multi-tenanting, and there's been many SIP trunking enhancements. The new Rich Communication Edition of the OXO will be offered on 4 platforms which we're already familiar with: the compact, the small, the medium, and the large. These 4 platforms will be replacing the 8 platforms available through the advanced and premium offerings. This means there's no more CPU 4s and no more CPU-Es. All platforms now will be provided with a power CPU. This power CPU is IP at the core, which means that it has 16 native VoIP channels. So moving forward, in most cases, you won't need to provide a VoIP daughter board to provide IP handsets and IP trunking. This should make your IP solutions significantly cheaper. In addition to that, if you do need more than 16 channels, we can offer up to 48 by adding the new VoIP 32 daughter board. The new power CPUs also offer a 2GB SD card, which means that the hard disk is now only required for systems that have more than 4 hours of voicemail or have the call center statistics module. So the other hardware updates that are available are the VoIP 32 that I mentioned just before. This rules out the requirement for co-CPUs, and in fact, co-CPUs are no longer available on the OmniPCX Office. This does mean that we're moving from having 96 VoIP channels down to only 48 now, but we've seen historically very few systems move out with more than 48 IP channels. If this is a problem, please contact your account manager and they can offer you a solution. There's new SLI boards. This is just a hardware change and nothing significant. There's new VoIP daughter boards as well, replacing the VoIP 1 daughter boards. Again, these are just for historical use. The old VoIP daughter boards, the 4, 8, and 16, aren't compatible with the power CPU. There's a new PowerMex board replacing the existing MEX boards. These are required if your system has a power CPU. So if you're upgrading a system from a CPU 4 to a power CPU and it has MEX boards, you'll also need to upgrade those to PowerMex boards. In addition, there's also a power supply that's available for the new compact platform. This is only required if there's a hard disk on the CPU. If there's no hard disk on the CPU, you don't need the new power supply. With regard to the system capacity and limits, there's been a few changes. So as I briefly mentioned before, the hard drive's not required anymore for things like additional greetings, additional messages, extended music on hold, and automated attendant. There's also quite a few extended limits. So the call center can now have 32 active agents with 32 assistants on the PC. You can have up to 200 DDI announcements, which today is limited to 16. You can have up to 20 greetings, which at the moment is limited to 8, with a total duration of 320 seconds instead of the 128 second limitation, which is currently in place. There's a significant increase in the number of call center supervisors, up to 8 now on the new power CPU. The CLI table for the call center has been increased to 5,000 entries instead of 1,000 entries, and you can have up to 200 Pimphony users on all OXOs. The highlights for the pricing changes in the new release are a simplification of the software suites. So the Guest, the First, the IP Large, and the IP Extra Large suites have all been removed from the catalog, leaving just the Advanced and the IP-oriented suites. This cuts the communication suites available down from 16 to 7. All of these communication suites as well have now got far more features in them than they had before, and we'll go into that in a bit more detail in a moment. The IP pricing has also been adjusted thanks to the new hardware and software. As I mentioned earlier, Alcatel has also increased the features that the standard software suites contain for Release 8 to include, obviously, the Release 8 software, as well as the traditional features such as personal assistant, remote customization, ARS, DISA, etc., etc. But there's also some new features such as the caller counting over IP is now standard, 4 system languages instead of 2, 10 minutes music on hold instead of 2 minutes, the Busy Lamp and extension license, and Pimphony Basic has now been extended to 200 users for all systems instead of the 25 and 75 that it was available in Release 7. The new OmniTouch 8118 and 8128 Wi-Fi handsets have been introduced to replace the old 310 and 610 handsets. As you can see, it's a new enhanced design. It is far more robust than the previous range of handsets. They're backwards compatible with older software releases for the OXO, so long as you do perform the minor software updates required. And they're offered at a much more attractive price than the old range of IP handsets. The new multi-company welcome feature is something we've been waiting for a long time on the OXO. It allows up to 4 entities to share a single PABX, and each entity consists of a group of any number of users. Each entity has its own dedicated music on hold. This means that if someone from company A puts a caller on hold, they'll hear company A's music on hold, and if someone from company B puts the user on hold, then they'll hear company B's music on hold. Additional to this, up to 200 direct in-dial pre-announcements can now be added instead of the existing 15. This doesn't mean you get 200 messages. You get 20 messages, but you can assign them to 200 different DDIs. This feature also allows us to bar inter-entity calls, so users from company 1 can't call users from company 2. This is a system-wide flag, and it's either on or off. Additionally, entity identity information is included on all metering tickets sent to a call accounting package, and again, that can be controlled by a flag. You can have that on or off. Alcatel has redesigned the OmniTouch Call Center Office application to drastically simplify the offer. This has made it a lot more flexible, but it's also made it easier to understand for both the business partners as well as the customers. They've redesigned the front end for the agent and supervisor applications, which has provided a brand new user experience as well. The limits have increased for the application due to the new, more powerful CPU. And the applications are actually backwards compatible to older versions of the OXO. So, for example, if you have a Release 7 customer running a call center, you can use the new applications and give those users that new experience. The migration path is very simple as well from Release 7 to Release 8. One thing I might mention briefly as well is, you may not be aware, but the OXO and the Call Center Office application actually won the Frost & Sullivan 2009 Market Leadership Award for SMB contact center systems. So it's actually quite a robust offering. The migration process to OXO RCE or Release 8 is not overly difficult, so we'll take a quick look at that now. Alcatel have provided a new migration kit for moving older OXOs up to Release 8. This includes a power CPU, as well as the Release 8 software license and the various other software licenses you can see on your screen there that are required to move a previous communication suite up to a Release 8 communication suite. The migration kit includes a power CPU because all old platforms, whether it's a compact, advanced or premium with a CPU 1, 2, 3, 4, CPU E, etc., require a new CPU. Those old CPUs won't run Release 8 at all. The customer configuration and data can all be migrated from the previous release up to Release 8. If you have any questions on how this can be done, feel free to call VExpress technical support, and the guys here can walk you through that process. There's various reasons why a customer may want to migrate to Release 8. One may be that they just like being on the latest release of software. They may want access to the new features on the OXO, such as the multimodal communicator client that was brought in the new release of the ECS. They may want to have the new multiple music on hold that's available from Release 8. They may just want to have an IP-ready PABX, and they don't currently. Or they may want to make themselves ready for the new MyIC phone when it comes out later in 2011. Thank you for taking the time today to watch this video.